Hello, Vitor. Hello, William. Welcome.
Hi. Hello.
So welcome to this dialogue session on design with respect for cultural identities. We are super, super glad to be sharing this room with you and Professor Alberti, and especially to be in this channel of conversation in cities and rethinking how humanity will move forward. We very much appreciate the chance to be here in Renacidade. I'll be your host for today, only because I'm a Kaospilot, but I'm also Brazilian, so I can translate whatever is needed. So the intention here is to explore the topic of future internet design with respect for cultural identities. And the reason why we're bringing this is because myself and my team who are here have been spending the last 7 weeks and more weeks before that developing a project in systemic leadership and especially in the future of internet and when we think about decentralization of systems and structures. So our aim here is just to foster some awareness and reflections in regards to the topic. Our agenda is that we have 10 minutes of introduction, and then we'll use 10 minutes to present our project to you. And then we are aiming for 3 rounds on some topics that we found interesting from our experience diving into decentralization and peer-to-peer network protocol. And that will regard some topics on value creation when we think of systemic thinking, non-extractive user testing, and also the future of internet design. Then we'll have a 10-minute open conversation for whatever topic is relevant for us. I'll be your mediator and translator. The Kaospilot team will present the systemic project. Professor Alberti will give us perspectives, pose questions and reflections, as he is not only the architect or the developer of a new architecture for internet with Nova Genesis, a project in Inatel, but also a big enthusiastic and founder of Renacidade, co-founder of Renacidade. Oh, we have more people coming in. Nice. I'll make one of us a host. Make you Anna host also. Welcome, 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 Karin. Yes, and we are aiming to have a 1-hour conversation. Welcome, Elsie. Nice to see you. I'm Joana, and I'm quickly introducing this dialogue. I'm also Brazilian, so if you need any help translating anything, please let me know. So, who are and what is Kaospilot? So Kaospilot is a school for social entrepreneurship and innovation located in Denmark. We as a school are deeply, deeply rooted in work systemically, viewing society from a holistic point of view. So when you think about Kaospilots, you actually and literally think about chaos and pilots. So we are trained and for 3 years on driving and sustaining complex challenges for change. So this team has been together for this semester looking at systemic leadership project, a systemic leadership project. And the subject for our project was the future of internet and decentralization. So I would like to ask if we could just do a quick round of saying our name and why we think is relevant to have this conversation. And I'll hand over to my team. Martin, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, I can. I'm Martin Hitchell, and I am from Denmark. And I think this conversation is relevant to have to be able to help these different communities in whatever challenges they deal with, and the new internet architecture. And then I can pass it on to, and then I've been working with community management and engagement, and I'll pass it on to Magnus.
Thank you, Martin. Yes, my name is Magnus. I'm from Norway. I've, as Martin said, been working together with Martin in community engagement and communication in the project we're about to explain to you today. So I believe it's important today, at least for me here in this conversation, to gain an extra perspective from Antonio on the subject and also communicate our work to a broader audience. So I'm looking forward to this. Thank you all for showing up. I'll pass it on to Anders.
Well, hello everybody. My name is Anders. I'm from Denmark. I have been part of this team in the role as a internal learning management role. I think it's interesting to have this conversation, because I believe we need to figure out new ways for doing internet design, user testing, and I believe that the conversation we're having today is exploring maybe the tip of the iceberg of that topic in the future. Oh, and I'll pass it on to Anna from my team.
Thank you, Anna. So yes, I'm Anna, and in this project I've been working alongside Joana mainly as a project manager. And I think overall the reason why I'm this having this conversation makes a lot of sense is stemming from my personal learning from this project, which is basically having a new awareness around this whole topic. And so this video will hopefully also create even more awareness, but just for even more people. So yeah. And Joana, did you already say a word about yourself? Otherwise, I'll pass it on to you.
Thank you. Yeah, I think it's super relevant that we discuss the future of how we communicate generally, and how we decentralize the way we communicate, and how we foster ways to do that in a more respectful and fulfilling way. And now I think I'll pass it on to Professor Alberti, so he can also present his perspective.
Well, nice to meet you. It's an honor to be here, and a pleasure as well. Well, we have the internet for decades, but sometime in future we'll need to redesign everything from scratch, because all technologies needed to change. And right now, some research groups are doing this kind of deep rethinking of the internet. And I think we need to do this as a network, instead of silos research projects in the universities. I think differently from the current internet. We need to design it in a different way, and we need to be inclusive, and we need to have a network of people working on that. And also we need to start thinking about how to change the governance of the internet for meet these cultural needs and the human needs we have right now. So it's a major work to be done, and very important work to be done. Sometime in future we will change the technologies on the internet without losing what the internet is to us. So we need to start working in a collaborative way to co-create new designs, new technologies, and to be inclusive for all cultures. This is what I think. So it's very important meeting.
Amazing. Thank you so much. For the people just coming in, welcome. And we're super glad to have you. We're also aiming to hear your voices. And we'll have 3-4 rounds of open dialogue. And when we come to that, please also come with your points, why you think it's relevant. But in order to keep time going, I'm gonna pass on to Anas, which will give some perspective on the project that we have been developing. Okay.
Thanks a lot, Joana. Well, the project we have been developing, we were invited to do this project by a social network that I'm not going to mention the name of today, but this social network was established and launched in 1997. It is a decentralized social network, and in 2021, this year, a team of developers are rewriting the social network's protocol with the purpose of creating an internet architecture that is benefiting off-grid and marginalized communities who finds the centralized internet architecture suppressive and exploitative. So this is the kind of background for what we got invited into. And then our goal was, as Kaospilots, to collaborate with community leaders from different marginalized and off-grid communities in order to build their capacity to better cope with their community challenges and needs for communication in the future. So that was the goal. And then the extra angle was this challenge, that we were to deliver insights about the community needs and realities and ensure a community-informed perspective for the social network's protocol design. So this social network were actually attempting to write the first protocol design possibly in the world that were deriving from a community informed perspective. And then our challenge in kind of getting that information was that we were to do it in a non-extractive way with respect for cultural identity. Now that is a plot twist. I think that is enough on the background of our project. It might have arisen a lot of questions, but we will dive deeper into it. So I think I will pass on the word to my colleague Magnus, who will explain a bit about the approach of how we were actually attempting to do this non-extractive process.
Thank you, Anders. And I will do so. So we had mainly 3 focus areas in our version of a non-extractive process. It was about listening, it was about learning, and mirroring. In the listening part, we started listening with an open and emphatic mind. We focused on meeting community leaders in their realities, where we asked them questions such as, what questions would you like to be asked? And what topics would be meaningful for you to explore? Then in the learning part, we always enter the dialogue with the mindset of us being the ones in need to learn and understand the community's needs and realities. We avoided starting the conversations with assumptions, so we focused only on the perspectives of the community leaders. In the mirror part, we then mirrored back our understanding and learnings from the system to the community leaders. And we build capacity by asking conscious making questions and coach the community leaders with tools and processes and frameworks to cultivate leadership capabilities. So we avoided extracting resources from the system without inserting resources back into the system. Where an example of working in a non-extractive way, a more tangible example, is that we actually compensated the community leaders for the time they spent collaborating with us by providing a salary. So with this as a quick intro to our approach and our version of a non-extractive process, I'll then hand it over to my colleague Martin here that will cover the community challenges we were dealing with and empathizing for.
Thank you, Magnus. Yeah, so the community challenges we collaborated with the community leaders in New Zealand and in India, and they were dealing with different challenges such as marginalism, internet shutdowns, and decolonization and tech education. And some of these communities have illiterate people and experience barriers interacting with reading and writing based solutions. They also experienced some of these communities in India are experiencing internet shutdowns by authorities and need offline solutions to keep communication available for them. And some of the communities also experienced centralized internet solutions as a threat to the preservation of their cultural heritage. And communities deal with the effects of colonization resulting in a lack of trust in non-community members. And then also in the tech education, some communities lack education and understanding of the technology and the barrier to trust and engagement, as they do not understand where the personal information will end up in the world and where it goes. So that's some of the challenges that they were facing. And then I will hand it over to Joana again.
Thank you, Martin. So this is some of the highlights of being a known expert on diving into this world and this universe of redesigning and rethinking the internet role and how it works in the world. We were 6 Kaospilots looking at this from the perspective of systemic leadership. And now we would like to share with you some of the most important highlights on our experience trying to dive into this project and trying to develop and create value for the communities with all these approaches. So we would like to foster here 3 topics for 3 dialogue rounds of 10 minutes on those experiences. So one regards to value creation when we talk about systemic work. Secondly, non-extractive user testing. And third, the future of internet design. So let's start with the value creation of systemic work. And I'll just share a bit of our experience doing or trying to do that. And one thing, so we have been really into this project for 7 weeks. We have prepared a lot before going to the project, and then we went to the project for 7 weeks. And now, still now, we have not at the present moment validated whether our work has led to value creation for the system. It's not clear yet, even though we have done what we have planned. Creating value as a systemic worker cannot be expected to happen overnight. That's something that we have learned, that the long term is more likely to fit a system work than a short term value creation. And that also led us to think, when we approach a systemic work, if we are looking at a client relationship, or if we better look at a challenge holder relationship. And the difference is basically because when you are holding a client challenge, then you are responsible for delivering the value. But as you approach a system, this can be quite complex because the system does not respond to your planning. So what is the best relationship and healthier relationship to establish with a challenge holder, rather than just a client, a normal client, but how to establish a partnership that can be equally divided on perspectives, how we share a perspective when we look at a system, and how to then understand how we can create after looking at the system together. So some of the questions we would like to raise for a dialogue here is, how do we measure the value creation of our systemic work? Our means ours, this whole room. What references do we compare our system work to when having to measure our value creation? And what is similar systemic work that has been done within the field of internet design? And I would like to start this dialogue maybe asking Alberti. You have come from a highly complex architecture process with Nova Genesis, but we are curious to understand how have you been facing the systemic work you're trying to put in practice when co-founding Renacidade. So how have you been measuring, or how hard would you say is to measure a systemic work value creation?
Yes, thank you, Joana. That's a very interesting question, I think, because every time we start doing some systemic work in network, this question appears: how we can measure if you are advancing or not? How we can measure if this model we are doing in the meetings, in the process of co-creation, is adding value to the results, and how fast it can provide the results, and the prosperity of the network. In fact, it's very difficult and very new, in fact, to discuss this and to try to figure out how to analyze this and try to figure out the many aspects related to this co-creation. So in laboratory, when we start doing the Nova Genesis project, Nova Genesis means new beginning of internet design. It was a lonely work. In fact, I did many developments alone, thinking about solutions, technical solutions to problems, to technical problems, and I implemented the solution. So I was very alone on this. Before doing visiting a year as a visiting researcher in Etri, South Korea. So I have been in a research institute in Korea. And then I start to share my visions and start to collaborate in ideas with the people that are also involved in designing new architectures for the internet. And it was a very rich process, because we did this all day. Every meeting, every dinner, every lunch we have, every coffee break, we discuss the aspects regarding how to evolve the internet. But it was very focused on technology, and then we did this under the umbrella of a collaboration between Inatel in Brazil and Etri in Korea. And what we did together in the end was a common test. We tested both solutions together. And but my side, I developed it alone, even being there. So it was very strange thing, because I was there and I implemented my part of the project, and they implemented their part, and finally we did some testing together, but it was not a four hands implementation. And when returning to Brazil, and in my city, Santa Rita, it is a very rich place to think out of the box, and we have many discussions on innovation and creative economy and new models, and I get in touch with this in the last 4 years. So I started thinking, how can we make this research work and in a more organic way, with in network way, and concerned with in applying the results of my research group. Some students are together with us now, and I started to thinking on the Renacidade movement, to take advantage of all this technology, all these ideas to change the reality in the city. And it's a multidisciplinary work. And what we did a lot of meetings. We did a lot of discussion on the how to create value in network. And we also changed ideas with other networks, other people trying to do the same thing in Brazil. And I think we have still a long path to be sure, or be everybody agrees that we are producing some very creative, very new, and very inclusive and very systemic results. And we're still in the beginning, but we advanced mainly in how to proceed with the discussions on how to put the subjects to the group. And for instance, this meeting is fantastic because we are doing exactly this, and Joana's initiatives in the city also, and other initiatives we have been involved. And the ideas are emerging. It's very interesting because the ideas are emerging. Right now, we have the idea to make Nova Genesis open source, and I'm trying to figure out how to govern, how to make an inclusive governance for this project worldwide available. So, but still we need to discuss better how to better measure that we are having prosperity. And the one issue related to this, I would like to say, to finish my point of view, is the economic aspect, because everything is somehow driven by economics, and the network discussions are always trying to figure out how to make economic prosperity, not only in fiduciary money like a dollar or a euro or a real in Brazil, but how to make prosperity in multidimensional economies like time and knowledge exchange and culture. So this is still in the beginning, I think, but we need to discuss, of course, and we need to propose things and test. I think what we can do is to evaluate this and test and try to have these indicators, and other networks are already doing this. So we need to meet together, I think.
I think we have time for one more question or one more perspective. If people, please, are welcome to open your mics and join this conversation. Also, we have the raise your hand resource if you like to use that, if you like to have your time to speak. But we still have time for one reflection.
Well, I think I have one thing I came to think about, and that is from my experience here with our project and what we have been attempting to do and our approach. We have had a hard time to measure in this short amount of time, at least, because we have not been very solution oriented, but more like process oriented or non-solution oriented, you might say. And this has been our thinking in how to go about this systemically. So instead of it being a, how do you say, I think it's called in English, oh, I need to find the word, sorry, but symptom treatment. We would rather go to the root causes of different challenges. And well, when you are to work with such a project in such a short time, it's going to be hard to see those root causes actually being treated. And now your network, Alberti, Professor Alberti, you are working in a longer over a longer time period. What do you think about these thoughts in regards to that?
Thank you, Anders. Yes, I think you are right. It's more a work of facilitating things, to accelerate things and somehow putting the contexts and facilitate the process. I usually say that I am very fan of a phrase from a Brazilian entrepreneur in this area of networking entrepreneurship, like to access the abundance in the network, like you are doing now, to go ahead in projects. And I'm very fan of this, that he says that the form informs. So the form, the structure, the process of facilitating the network to make people aware of the problems and aware of possible paths but because it's a co-creation process, I think systemic laws are very important in this, of course. And I think Joana also is. We have a meeting had a meeting last week or 2 weeks ago, and we need to somehow design this framework, not the solution, but the framework, the steps, not trying to conduct or to reduce democracy or holacracy, but to guide the process of creation, I think. So, but it's very difficult because the amount of contexts are very, very large. So I think this previous design could be very important to make people engage. One thing is also related to this, and I am thinking about and discussing a lot, is, okay, let's take advantage of the technology. Let's take advantage of the tools we have. For instance, we have Zoom, we have Trello, we have many other tools, but some people are not prepared here in Brazil to use the tools. So there is a difficult equilibrium between inclusion and the tools we use, the techniques we use, and this guidance I am talking about. So it's quite a challenge to design, thinking on systematic laws of inclusion, of equilibria, and order, honor the order of the things of the network. People that already have invested time and have invested on ideas. Maybe what we need to do is to practice more and to try to create maybe a new kind of design, maybe a new kind of joint designing networks. I think this could be a possible path. But I am regarding Nova Genesis, for instance, to finish what I would like to say. regarding Novagenesis, it was a very solitary work. But now I am thinking how to do this in a way more close to Renacidade, where we are creating together. So the one difficult I already am aware, my colleagues in university that work with new ideas for the internet, they are not used to any of these ideas of systematic work or situational leadership in the network. They are old style people from working with students in a very old style way of doing science. So I think there's a developing technology and doing science. So I think that the challenge is very big, but we need to start this.
Amazing, thank you. And let's move then to our second round of dialogue, which has everything to do with this new style of design. And the topic we would like to bring is the big challenge that we had in our project being non-extractive in our user testing processes, as our client were expecting a direct perspective from communities. So it was a request from our clients that we got the direct perspective from the communities. The social and cultural forces of the system constrained our ability to deliver upon those expectations in a non-extractive way, because it was so clear that our approach could be, if we didn't pay attention, could be extractive, as we could have interacted with the communities. So avoiding colonization effects demanded us to not interact directly with the communities, but with community leaders, and building trust with them to foster their capacity on leading and sensing community needs. So we were speaking to someone that could bridge the communication, and expecting to gain perspective from relationships still in trust, still in need of building trust, as it was the case since we got to meet them 7 weeks ago, is an unrealistic expectation with a solution-oriented approach to social and cultural constraints. So we were still developing a relationship that could foster and build that capacity on extract or on sensing the needs of the community. He would do that, or our community leaders would do that, not us. And that's, but having to deliver so quickly in time brought us to this dilemma. So our question here is, what is non-extractive user testing? Is that even possible? Is there a dilemma in attempting to do non-extractive user testing, as you cannot interact with your users? What is the capacity building? What is capacity building user testing? How do you provide capacity on user testing if you're to be non-extractive? So I also like to throw that to Professor Alberti. What is your perspective, since you've been fostering Renacidade, and what is the approach on your systemic thinking to doing that with respect to cultural identities?
Thank you, Joana. Those are very interesting questions. I confess that before starting talking with you, I was not aware of this non-extractive ideas, but I totally agree with them. And well, I think one path could be taking advantage of technology to deal with within the indirect testing. Try to. This was what I thinking about, because you have community leaders that can somehow represent. Please correct me if I am wrong. Somehow can represent the community in a way that any testing could be not extractive in a way that it does not affect the preserve the cultures and preserve the privacy and the rights of this community. So what I'm thinking about is to somehow use technology to try to test things indirectly with leaders and trying to create scenarios that could be representative of that culture or that groups or communities, and made some indirect testing. I am thinking about this. In fact, there is an idea. Well, I work with digital twins. Nova Genesis has digital twins that are representative of the things, not people, things. It could be the representative of people bodies, but not the people, the consciences, the conscience of the people or the people itself. In Nova Genesis, we work with digital twin for the things that are going to be connected. And we use the idea of assistants to represent people interests or policies or privacy, or because there is an aspect that emerged to me in Nova Genesis design that, and of course, a creative economy and the intangible of economy we have now with virtual realities are very important on this idea. That is, the majority of the things will happen in the virtual realities. Not maybe in the future we are going to connect many realities using the technology for that, but we are going to experience and we are exponentially experiencing more of virtual reality, and many of these concerns are on this virtual part of our technology. So one thing I was thinking about was to try to combine assistants with leaders, and because this experience, this testing is going to happen in probably with new applications of the internet, trying to experience with new applications in the web. In the web as well. So try to make this by means of some representative software and representative people, and include the people, these leaders, in the process of creation, I think. But the question is very new for me, so I'm not just sure. I'm just trying to combine things here, the things I have done and the things we are trying to do. So,
thank you. And I think we have time for one reflection or question from people in the room. Is there anything that needs to be said or experience that could be shared? All right, so let's move to our third topic, which I think is the broader topic in regards to the future of internet design. So we haven't been in direct contact with any community member who are not educated in network and web technology. And by that we mean we have only been in contact with community leaders, and community leaders are somehow tech educated or tech related to the network that we have been working with. So as our perspective comes from a technical future, it is hard to tell if we have been working with an actual solution to an actual problem, or if it is an invented solution to an invented problem. Yes, it sounds weird, but it is something that we have been asking ourselves, as we have only interacted with people that have interest in tech, in technology and tech interests and tech subjects. So our question, and this is maybe the most philosophical and open question we have, is how do we make sure that decentralized, How do we make sure that decentralized internet solutions does not become a disservice to the marginalized communities of this world? How do we ensure that the design of a sustainable internet future does not become yet another solution to an invented problem for the marginalized communities of the world? And how does one preserve the culture in a new internet architecture? And we are so curious to hear these rooms and you, Professor Alberti, on this perspective, because I know you all in this room probably have spent a lot of time thinking, how do we do this in the best way as we are redesigning?
Nice, very interesting again. The first one is the first question. How a solution is not a disservice for marginalized communities. Again, I think if we co-create together, and we have well, co-creating together is a step, because of course if you create, for example, Nova Genesis, I just mentioned that I did a lot of lone work on Nova Genesis. Read a lot, but work alone on designing this approach. I know about other projects, for instance, ZIA United States. The United States has a project from Carnegie Mellon University called the ZIA, Expressive Internet Architecture. A large group of researchers and professors and students of PhD, they did a similar work funded by National Science Foundation. Also, there is RINA. RINA is Recursive Internet Network Architecture. It's another approach for clean slate or blank page internet architecture. They also did some work similar to ZIA, group of researchers in the United States and Europe. People that is developing the technology itself and developing the science behind, they are not concerned during the design process. They just look for the technical issues, I think. This is what we need to change, in fact, because the question is totally right. This aspect is totally right. It will be a great disservice if we create a new internet that is worse or that is not adequate for all human beings. So I think we need to design it together. It's a co-creation problem. It's a co-creation process, and the culture of the people is going to be the main difficulty to change the scientists, the people that develop science and technology, that publish papers on this area, to change their minds and working in a consortia, for instance, with a new governance model, like systemic work in a network, interpreting this in a network and made in a governance for this since the beginning, because if we did this separated, we are going to have technology that's not related to people. So again, I think that decentralizing the internet is something that can help for the majority of the cases, but we need to include these human aspects in the technology, and mainly in the intelligence layer of the network, because new architectures are going to be much more intelligent than the current internet. The current core of the internet is dumb, is a dumb network. Just to transfer packages from point A to point B. And the web, the World Wide Web, that's an application of the current internet, is where the intelligence is today. For instance, the blockchain, the Tango, Web 3.0, that's are the DApps, the distributed or decentralized applications. All the novelties are there in the web, not in the internet core. So decentralized internet is something that doesn't exist now. we don't have a decentralized internet in the sense that it's a co-designed and co-implemented project, and also that's going to be governed by a new governance model. So technology is neutral, but we need to design it considering the communities, all the communities and all the people, and also the nature, because we need to be inclusive with the nature as well, and the sustainability of the technology. So we need representatives of this working in the creation. I think it's going to be much better. And then we go back to the first question: how to be sure that we are going to produce a result in the end, because it's going to be a new process. In the case of Nova Genesis, what I'm going to do is probably I'm going to create some governance based on some technology to make available all the discussion on technology available for all kind of people, of interested people, and trying to do this in a model different than I did in the beginning of Nova Genesis, but it's just a proof of concept. So we can do this now and try to answer some of these questions of sustainability in all senses and inclusion in all senses. And again, another idea is going to return to the point I mentioned in the second question. We are in the physical world, and we are going to be more connected and more presenting more in other realities as technology evolves. And many of these drawbacks, these discussions, and this evolution is going to happen in the virtual and different realities in the future. So we need to have representatives. It's impossible to a person today to follow everything that happens in the virtual world. The same thing, I think, can occur here. Is how a person in a community can follow all the services and a network can do, and how to be sure that it's not being discriminated somehow, or some service that is marginalizing them. So we need to have some help on this, I think. And the intelligent layer of the network could help on this. So this is a point that meets with something I have I am saying a lot in the meetings of Renacidade, that is, let's work together with technology, let's work with artificial intelligence to teach this intelligence and train this intelligence to be respectful, to provide good examples, because if you don't do that, we are going to, the artificial intelligence now are very in the beginning, but as technology evolves to more complex and more conscience-like artificial intelligence, we need to provide good examples. And this kind of concern, I think it's very interesting, because some more conscious-like intelligence in the future can help us in this process and can help us. So I mentioned in a meeting in the deputy in Brasilia, where the deputies are discussing the future of the cities, I did get ready for co-creation with machines, because the problems are too big, the issues are so many, and the complexity is huge, and we need to be inclusive. We need all these things you are mentioned. So I think we need to take care of these aspects and work to have technology helping us on doing that. Also the assistance. So the technology is going to be neutral, but the people, we need to take care of the people and then the interests behind this technology, to have good examples in a new internet, and good examples in the web, in mainly good examples to where the artificial intelligence could inspire and could learn, or could it be trained? Nowadays we just train, we're not teaching artificial intelligence yet. But only doing this, I think we are going to have the help and the scalability to make these subjects mainstream. We need help to doing that, I think. And technology could help us, and we need to make attention to the bias, these things are going to be included not only in future internet, but also in 6G, for example. I'm been working in projects for 6G. Well, I already talked too much.
Wow, super, super interesting. I see my teammates doing like this. So I like to open for comments, reflections. This is our last 4 minutes of this super interesting conversation. So I'd like to hear from the room if anyone would like to share.
I have a reflection or something that I thought about when you were speaking, Alberto. It's how do you? It's maybe more framed as a question, but how do we then make sure to in this working with this technology to make it neutral when it is people that is feeding the technology, and how can you then make sure that it's neutral and co-create this yeah.
Yes, and then to like add on to that, like from what ethics might such a neutral and is a neutral standpoint even possible? Yeah, for such a technology.
Can I then add on to that, Anders? Because I have another thing. I believe what I'm hearing you saying is, Alberti, you're talking about respect and empathy. So it's not, I'm not hearing you necessarily say neutral, because that's almost impossible, because it is created by humans. But how do you make this technology empathic and respectful? And I think, and something I also thought might be interesting to add was curious around other cultures. And I think that's a very interesting perspective, because that requires for the programmers and the developers to really deepen their knowledge and their practice on having these qualities, very human qualities.
Great comments. Fantastic. Well, in Renacidade movement, we are talking about values. What are the values for these networks, for the human beings in this taking advantage of, while taking advantage of this abundance of technology? So after many hours of discussion with some of my peers, we realized that probably this is going to be achieved only in the future with the help of technology as well, because we humans are not capable to follow many aspects while working together in a team, or imagine to have programmers, designers, all the things you are mentioned here. So after many hours of discussions, what we figured out is that we needed help also for this. So systems that follow what we are being done and look for context every time, and also people that take care of the systems to be fair. So it's very complex, but I think and follow the systemic laws, Bert Hellinger laws, trying to follow the equilibrium of given and receive in all aspects, follow the many of other things that are very interesting, very important to have while doing that. So empathy, take care of relations, for instance, is very important. The care in many aspects. So it's a new way of designing and creating technology more human way, maybe more human way of doing this in the benefit. I wrote a paper some years ago about beneficial artificial intelligence, because I am following the singularity sensitization. I read the Raymond Kurzweil Singularities Near, so this helped me in designing Novogenesis, because I started designing Novogenesis in 2011, the first codes, and so maybe we need this new way of developing, networking way of developing technology for communities and for humans, inclusive way that follows the systematic laws and many others, good values. And this would be very important for beneficial AI as well, because a lot of bias is being put for the artificial intelligence. I'm one of the guys that believe in artificial consciousness. Many times I am received criticized on this, but I believe in artificial consciousness in the future. So we need to give examples and work for. As I just said, get ready for hybrid creation with machines and the people, and include these human aspects on this. And it needs to be multidisciplinary. And it's going to be very difficult to have programmers that are capable to implement some protocol, but also are capable to understand the systematic laws, understanding empathy, and non-violent communication, and preserve the cultures.
Wow. What an amazing message, and what an amazing conversation to raise awareness. I'm thrilled. Thank you so much. And we are heading to the end of this session. And we would like to thank you so much, Professor Alberti, and all of our audience here. We'd also like to say that we are co-writing, and I'm so thrilled about this, co-writing an article with Professor Alberti on the topics that we have risen here in this conversation. And this article will be published on mentebinaria.org. Mente Binaria is a website on security of internet. And this will be due before the 21st of May. So I'm pretty sure Professor Alberti could share the link when it's published with you all. And I'll just ask you to freely open your mics to say goodbye, and let's land this for right now. Thank you so much.
So just a final message. I'm going to include all this discussion, trying to figure out how to go ahead with Novogenesis on this. And I am available to co-create on this. Please feel free to send any kind of comment, any kind of suggestion, because I am really thinking about doing this for Novogenesis from now to the future, to have a technology that is much better prepared for the next decades. And feel free to contact me, and I am available to co-create. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Professor Alberti. This was a true pleasure.
Yeah, it was really interesting to hear. So thank you so much for this.
Thank you, Martin.
I can say just the same. Very, very interesting conversation. A lot of interesting reflections came to my mind from this.
Yes, I'll follow that and also say an extra thanks to the audience and extra participants. Very cool to see some new faces in our dialogues here.
Yes. And I guess, Professor Alberti, our final message is to have the Kaospilots over in Santa Rita pretty soon.
Yes, this is great. This is great. Let's do it.
All right. Thank you so much, everybody. We'll end this now.
Thank you.
Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Waiting for you
Bye-bye.
guys in Santa Rita.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye.
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 Bye.